Hello, it's time for Flashback, the weekly history quiz. Let's find out what happened in history. We'll start in 1970. After a polluted river catches fire and a massive oil spill, 20 million Americans join the first Earth Day. And then against that, we're placing the Magna Carta is signed, limiting the king's power and granting due process to the elite. The Pope quickly voids it. That's funny. I think this is the 13th century, but I mean, it's obviously well before 1970. It is the 13th century. Early in it. A 12-year-old girl, Mary Anning, digs up the fossil of an ancient reptile, the ichthyosaur. It's major evidence for a new theory: species can go extinct. My guess is this is the 19th century. It's amazing how rapidly people learned things about natural history in the 19th century that were just previously insufficient evidence to explain. Early in the 19th century, 1811. After decades of bombings in Northern Ireland, the Good Friday Agreement helps bitter enemies achieve something that's still fragile: peace. Indeed. So that was 1998, I know for sure. There it is, 1998, the end of the Troubles. A college student, Maya Lin, designs a minimalist war monument to focus on the dead. It becomes the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. I don't know this year, but it'll clearly be after 1970. 1981. As coal production booms and miners dig deeper, they start bringing a songbird to detect poisonous gas, the first use of a canary in the coal mine. All right, this is the first one where I'm not really sure whether it's before or after 1811. I think you would have had coal production in the 18th century, but my suspicion is because of what it says about coal production booming and miners digging deeper, that's probably a bit further into the Industrial Revolution and is probably the 19th century. Oh, wow. Much later, 1896. Honestly, that's much later than I would have thought. Maybe my internal timeline around coal production is a bit off. That's interesting. Okay, to convict colonists of dissent, the British fill local juries with loyalists. To fight back, towns in Massachusetts begin screening potential jurors for bias. Oh, that's fascinating. Well, that'll be before 1811, sometime in the 18th century, 1760. Doubting himself, Michelangelo wants to give up on his project. His patron refuses, and so he throws himself into finishing the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. I would say before 1760. Yeah, of course, 1509. Probably should have been a bit more confident about that. Seeing how big the gap was. The first U.S. passenger railroad, the B&O, opens, aiming to connect Baltimore and Ohio. Its first trains are pulled by horse. That is really interesting. Do I think that is... Yeah, that'll be after 1760, of course. Do I think it's after 1811? Yeah. Do I? Baltimore, no. Boy, I have no idea. Yeah, probably. 1830, yeah. It wasn't much longer. You had steam trains not long after that, really. In fact, they would have already existed in some places, I think. Yeah, certainly. Okay, well, I feel silly for not being a bit more confident about that as well. But anyway, got all the answers right, so that's something. And actually, so did many other people. All right, let's see what people got wrong. All right, so about a quarter of people misplaced that passenger railroad thing. I wouldn't be surprised if people placed that earlier, because it does seem that the horse-drawn version, you'd think might have potentially been earlier, but I wasn't really familiar with that in general. 25th of people misplaced coal production. That's understandable. I really would have thought that to have been earlier. Which is my mistake. And then about 10%, about a tenth of people in each case misplaced the Vietnam Veterans Memorial and the Good Friday Agreement. That's interesting. I wonder when the people who got the Good Friday Agreement wrong, when they would have thought that was signed. I don't really blame anyone for getting any of these wrong. It's so easy to get to just not happen to know a particular thing. I'm just curious about that one because it's a relatively recent event. Anyway, there we go. That was the Flashback. Back next week. Bye for now.